Hello there, everybody. It is me, your Star Wars dad, Nooch2Good, your big, giant Star Wars dad, behind my itty-bitty little desk. That's right, we are here with our 2025 free-to-play farming guide for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And yes, we'll mix in stuff like Lightspeed bundles a little bit. We'll talk about a lot of the farming in the game and everything that's going on. We'll take you from the early game to the mid game to the late game to the end game. We're going to go all the way through the game here today with this farming guide. The ins, the outs, the ups, the downs, the outs, the ins, the downs, the ups. Everything you want to know about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, free-to-play farming, and honestly, even if you're not free-to-play, you'll get a lot by watching this video to understand how the farming works in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and all the characters you need to farm. One note before we jump in here, Capital Games has made it really evident this year that they are focused on these two guys as the primary driving forces behind your endgame Galactic Legends and Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. We're going to get to them and talk about the Skywalker circles, triangles, five-way farming paths, all the different ways that Luke and Anakin figure into farming in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And without any further ado, I bring you my 2025 free-to-play farming guide for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Well, greetings and hello there, everybody. It's me, once again, your beloved Star Wars dad, Nooch2Good, here with our 2025 free-to-play farming guide for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Before we get this started, let's give a few caveats and discussion points. I'm going to say this as I get into the farming guide. We're going to talk about all the teams and characters to farm along the way, everything to get you through the end game. I got to fill in some spaces where I maybe forgot to enter a few teams. We'll be fine. We're going to get there. It's going to happen. The first thing I'll say, you are free to farm whatever you want in this game. In Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, you can farm Lord Vader, you can farm Baylan Skoll, you can farm Starkiller, you can farm Director Krennic, you can farm Ugnaught for all that I care. Do your worst, do your best, have some fun. My goal with this video is to present you what I believe to be the best and most efficient way to farm in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and I'll tell you all the reasons why as we go through it. As we do talk about the journeys, and we will cover every journey, whether directly or indirectly throughout this video, I'm going to rely on you for a lot of it. I'm not going to tell you every single character you've got to farm to meet every single journey along the way. I'm going to assume that you have a brain. You can look at the journey guide and figure out, oh, I've got to get Dengar to get Executor. I'm going to make that assumption and allow you to proceed as a thinking and caring human being. And finally, I'm just going to say, I know Lightspeed bundles are available. I am not going to be discussing Lightspeed bundles in this video. I'm sure they'll come up in a couple of cases, specifically maybe for a couple of Galactic Legends to be named later, but I'm not here to tell you how to farm Lightspeed bundles. I've got different farming guides for that. We definitely have a Lightspeed bundle farming guide, etc., etc. I'm going to be assuming people watching this are free to play, although I know a lot of you aren't. Many of you aren't anymore. And really looking at the game free to play is really the best way to get an overall view of how the game should be farmed. So without any further ado, let's get this farming guide started, and we're going to start it right here. For starters, teams that you need to start the game with. These are the 5 teams I believe every account should start off this game with in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I'm actually going to start at the bottom down there first, because something we don't think about a lot when we make farming guides is you got to get a Scoundrels team together at the beginning. You've got to have a Scoundrels team for Credit Heist and the Droid Training Heist, mainly for Credit Heist. So you gotta get in there into Galactic War and farm characters like the Mandalorian and Grief Karga, and Boba Fett is very easy to get in the Cantina store. Put yourself together a team of Scoundrels. Bounty Hunters are the best way to go because they blend it with a lot of other stuff, but you might be able to use characters that give you, like Stormtrooper Han. Stormtrooper, I said that because next is Lando. Stormtrooper Han and Lando, they give you early in the game, so you can use those characters. If you can keep them alive, you don't need to gear them up big time. Like Gear 7 on these characters, even 5 and 6 stars can get you all the way through Credit Heist with the right team. So get a team of Scoundrels early on. The top 2 teams up there are my first 2 teams I continue to recommend to this day in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. This all changed last year when Captain Rex came out, and the Phoenix came back into vogue after I made several videos saying the Phoenix were done. Captain Rex comes out, turns him around. The Phoenix with Captain Rex and the Imperial Troopers under Veer's leadership are the first 2 teams you should farm in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes aside from the Scoundrels. Why do we say that? Well, first of all, both these teams are going to serve you well throughout the game and help you do really well. Second of all, they're going to get you 4 assault battles done. And we'll talk about assault battle farming later, but assault battles are your bread and butter. They're a way to build up cheap teams, at least for now. That's a separate video. We know they're kind of changing things, but it's still, in 2025, it looks like assault battles are going to be valuable to you all year. So the Phoenix will get you to Military Might and Secrets and Shadows. The Imperial Troopers will get you Rebel Roundup and Forest Moon assault battles, at least to challenge tier 1 without a lot of effort to upgrade them. And yeah, so that's what I got to say there. That's why I recommend them as my first 2 teams. As far as these 2 teams' composition go, I've got the best comp available for the Phoenix team. That's pretty easy to farm. You could also grab like a Zeb, or you could sub out Zeb and Ezra in there for anybody, except you have to have Hera and you have to have Captain Rex on the team. The other 3 are interchangeable, but that's the best team available. For the Veer's Trooper team, I tried to keep it cheap. You can have Dark Trooper in there, but Dark Trooper costs you a lot of Chirotech farming along the way. So I went with characters that are readily farmable. Of course, Veers and Piet and Range Trooper are the required ones for the assault battles. And for any other battles in Grand Arena or anything else, Veers and Piet will do the trick for you with 3 other Imperial Troopers in there. Then we look at your Palpatine, Vader, and Thrawn team, and also Tarkin. Mara Jade I threw on as a little extra if you want to farm Mara Jade. You don't need to necessarily for the early game, but she's got a great TW Omicron. She really makes that team really fly. But you're going to be grabbing Palpatine and Thrawn with your Phoenix farmed up very easily. Vader's an automatic farm for everybody. Tarkin's a character that's given to you early on, and you can get the shards very easily as well. Mara Jade's a more difficult farm, but that's a team you're going to want to farm early. They do a lot of good work for you in a lot of different ways, including countering the Geos, who are our next team on the board. Geos are the most common team in Grand Arena, offense and defense, in Carbonite, in the early rounds of Grand Arena. Not only that, I get a lot of holds with these guys in early rounds of Grand Arena. You also need them if you're going to get into a Geonosis Territory Battles Guild. You got to have your Geos out there because they're going to be using the Geos to farm Wat Tambor shards, which you need for later characters like Sith Eternal and Jedi Master Kenobi. So the Geonosians are going to help you get into a good guild, along with them just being a good overall team, especially in Grand Arena, in the early levels of Grand Arena. But I find myself using them on offensive for cleanups all the way in Kyber 3 and Kyber 2. So Geos hang on for a big part of the game, and they have a great fleet with the Malevolence, which we'll talk about later in this video. Let's move on to fleets. Speaking of fleets, I'm already going to bring it up. Your first fleet you're going to go for, and really the fleet that you should be farming from the very beginning of the game. We talk about these bounty hunters here, right? We talk about Bosk and Boba Fett and Cad Bane on that team. Mando and Grief don't go in for the Executor farm, but those 3 do. You'll need a few more characters, and you're going to get your Executor fleet up and running in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Now, why is this so important, and why should you be focused on farming this from day 1 in the game? Because Fleet Arena success equals crystal success, and the more crystals you can get on your roster on a daily basis, the faster your roster will progress. Crystals is why we're doing fleets early on. Often, we go for fleets heavy, we farm them often, we farm them early, we never stop farming fleets. And by the way, these bounty hunter ships you're going to farm, Houndstooth, a Slave 1, IG-2000, Cad Bane ship, the Xanadu Blood, Razor Crest, etc. You're not going to go wrong with those in early Fleet Arena too. You can put them in there with the Executrix, you can put them in there with a Home 1, you can even put them in there with Mace Windu's Endurance, and you can have a lot of success in early rounds of Fleet Arena, until you get yourself an Executor along the way. So Executor, required farming to get yourself to the top of Fleet Arena. You'll start to see Executors pop in your Fleet Arena around the 6-month mark, maybe early if you got some crazy whales in there. But you got to get him. You got to get this guy to get up to the top of Fleet Arena. I've also got the Malevolence and the Negotiator down here with their fleets. Something to keep in mind as you're getting that get-to currency, because you're in Geonosis Territory Battles or you're in a higher Territory Battles because you did farm the Geos. You're going to use all of that get-to currency to get either the Malevolence. Let's put some Malevolence into comments, please. Either the Malevolence or the Negotiator, and the fleets surrounding them That's the first thing you do with that Get 2 currency. Don't do anything else with it until you get both of these ships farmed up to 7 stars. Then you can start spending that Mark 2 or that Get 2 currency on some Chirotechs for your roster. So go after Malevolence and go after Negotiator to fill in with your Executor. You will thank me later. You'll have a lot of success in Fleet Arena. Chimera is a really good one to have in there too. Just takes a little bit of extra work farming it. I like these fleets early on and fleets to be really focused in on you. One note here. It has been posited that you can farm the Galactic Republic fleet early if you go and get the Marauder, which is that ship at the top left of the Negotiator down there, General Kenobi's Negotiator. The thing about the Marauder and the thing about that was all kind of negated when punishing one. That's Dengar's ship out there, kind of the disc ship out there up at top with the Executor. Once that came out, it really made that fleet a lot less relevant in the game. We'll see what they do in 2025. You never know what new stuff is coming out, but Negotiator just isn't quite as awesome as of an endgame fleet as it previously was. That's why I still recommend the Executor as your first fleet farm, and probably the most important farm you can do early on in the game and first up. Let's move on to early Grand Arena lifters on your roster. The secondary place, and maybe even the primary place that you're going to be earning crystals in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, is through Grand Arena. Grand Arena is very important, and every level that you climb up in Grand Arena gives you more crystals. You earn more crystals on a daily basis. You earn more crystals at the end of the full 3 weeks of Grand Arena. Wins and losses get you the same amount of crystals all the way through Grand Arena, but the end of the term, end of the 3 weeks, is better and better and better as you climb in Grand Arena. You climb in Grand Arena by improving your roster. These 3 Omicrons on these 4 characters can transform your early Grand Arena roster, and I have done it. It makes a tremendous difference on your roster. Wampa with the Omicron. Wampa is very easily farmable with your Get 1 currency and your Mark 2 currency that you get from raids. I'm going to take a little side trip here, by the way. I never focus on raids in my farming guides. I know that right now, if you're watching this all the way through like February or March, that we're all doing the Naboo raid. Then we'll get a new raid that comes out. We won't know what it'll be. So I do think if your guild wants you to, and I do think you should farm some raid teams and have them up and running. But I can't really focus on that because I don't know what the next raid's going to be. And I just don't like focusing on raids as a primary focus on your roster. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but I don't know what raid's coming up next, so I can't really tell you what to focus on for that. So there, let's get the raids out of the way. Okay, now, Wampa, Savage, and Qui-Gon Jinn with their Omicrons, they're all very easily farmable in shops or with your Mark II currency that you get from raids. You can get these characters activated, and by the way, early in the game with your Mark II currency, you can only keep like 20,000 of it, and you're going to load, if you're in too good of a guild, you'll be loading that up too much, you're going to have to spend it on Wampa because there's nothing else to really spend it on until you get to level 85. So, Wampa in there with Savage and Qui-Gon. These are teams that can transform you. I talk about it in a lot of other videos. You can watch me play with these teams. I love putting a Qui-Gon Galactic Republic Jedi team on defense. It gets lots of holds for me down in Carbonite. So these are great early game teams to farm for Grand Arena. You will need the Omicrons on these characters to really make them work. Moving on to Assault Battles. So that's the order of farming. Let's go back all the way to the beginning here. Zoop. That's the wrong one. You start off with these 5 teams. They're going to get you some Assault Battles already. We mentioned 4 Assault Battles with your Phoenix and your General Veers team. Now, that's going to be, maybe not to the end game. The Troopers can be to the end. The Phoenix are going to be Challenge Tier 1 on Assault Battles. Then we move on to Fleets. Then we move on to early Grand Arena Lifters. So it's all mixing together here. You're all kind of farming this all together, but I had to put it in some kind of order, right? And then we think, after we get our Fleet, we get these early Grand Arena, we want to really dial in on our Assault Battles and do the absolute best we can to generate as much monthly income as we can for the Assault Battles that they reheat. It's not my fault. I didn't use the word. And yeah, it might be a typo, but the H is nowhere near the P on the keyboard. It might have meant to be repeat. I don't know. Reheat. We're reheating Assault Battles every month, 8 of them. We're trying to yell about it so they just get them all out there, but that's not my problem. The CLS team out there is for Military Might. It's going to go farther than the Phoenix team in Military Might. You get them all at Gear 12, a couple Relic, you can finish that thing at Challenge Tier 3. The Night Sisters are for Secrets and Shadows. they will not only go farther than the Phoenix, they will also finish those challenge tier levels at 3 stars, enabling you to sim them the rest of the way instead of having to play them over and over and over again. Not to mention these teams do really well in Grand Arena for you and other game modes as well. The Sith team we got there is for places of power. You'll note that Palpatine is the lead, and you're going to have to go get yourself a Jedi Knight Revan and a Darth Revan because you're going to need Darth Malak and Bastila Fallen for this team. The other two, Darth Revan and Darth Vader, they can be mixed and matched. You can really put a lot of other Sith in there. Nihilus, Traya, that's kind of it. Darth Revan, Vader, Nihilus, Traya. They can mix it as the final 2, but the first 3 have got to be Palpatine, Darth Malak, and Bastila Fallen on your Secrets and Shadows Sith team. That's the best way to do it. First Order can get through there too, but it's really messy and not as consistent. So then you're looking at Ground War, which is going to be a Jedi Knight Revan-led team with Jolee Bindo, Yoda, and the other 2 can be mixed and matched. And I'll tell you this, I got through Challenge Tier 1 with a team that was Qui-Gon at Gear 12, Grandmaster Yoda at Gear 12, General Kenobi at Relic 5, Ahsoka at Relic 5, and Ahsoka Snips at Relic 5, and then Jedi Knight Anakin at Relic 5. So I got through Challenge Tier 1 with that. Challenge Tier 2 ain't gonna happen until you get Jedi Knight Revan on the squad. And Challenge Tier 3 ain't gonna happen until you get Jedi Knight Luke on the squad. So keep that in mind as we move forward. And then finally, I've got the Poncho Bros down there, Master Qui-Gon and Padawan Obi-Wan. They're Cantina farmable, which is much easier than regular energy. I love, love, love their assault battle. It gives you a lot of rewards. Even if you just 7-star them at gear 8 and 9, you're going to get yourself a lot of good mod materials along the way from that assault battle. So we're going to be rounding out our assault battles here with this farming. And here's where I want to add a couple of things before we get to the next topic, because then we're getting into Galactic Legend territory. I'm gonna hide this for a minute. Let me see if I can hide this. Here we go. Let's look at my account here, and I want to talk about this. I left off a couple of things here. You're going to start to get to 4 million galactic power. You're going to start to unlock Proving Grounds and get those characters unlocked. There are teams at Proving Grounds are going to get you, like adding Darth Malgus right here to a Sith Empire team. You put him as a lead on with Darth Revan, Bastila Fallen. It makes amazing things happen for your Sith Empire team. And I left off my graphics. Further GAC development with Darth Traya with her Omicron, Darth Traya, Savage Press, Darth Sion, Darth Nihilus, and a 5th character who would be Darth Talon usually, or another Sith. Amazing things in Grand Arena from Darth Traya. And I left those Proving Grounds characters off of there. I left Darth Traya. Now the Proving Grounds characters will come up a little bit as we move forward with some of these Galactic Legends. You'll see that in a moment. But Darth Malgus with his ship is going to go in there for Leviathan, and this Darth Traya team, I forgot to include on the graphic. Definitely farm the Darth Traya team to really make your Grand Arena go great. You can watch my Grand Arenas. I got shorts out there, short videos out there. Darth Traya makes a tremendous difference in Grand Arena. And now we get to the point where the game is you're kind of being pushed to this direction, okay? Jedi Knight Luke. We talked about at the very beginning, Jedi Knight Luke and General Skywalker Anakin as the 2 focal points for mid to late game Galactic Legend farms in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. We're really being pushed this direction because Jedi Knight Luke is going to overlap with all the farms you see over there. A lot of overlap between these 5 farms. The Executor, you've already farmed, by the way, bottom right. The Profundity, which will overlap as well. Leia Organa, Jabba, and Jedi Master Luke. When you farm Jedi Knight Luke, it opens up all of these different farms to you for Galactic Legends and capital ships and really fuels your roster. Why do I have Jabba at the top of the pentagram up there? Because Jabba gets you Smuggler's Run 2 every month, which is a great, great way, along with the Poncho Bros, Master Qui-Gon and Padawan Obi-Wan, to fuel your mod growth in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. This is not a modding video, but if you really want to get a lot of great mods on your team, Jabba is a great first Galactic Legend, along with the Poncho Bros back on those assault battles here. Just great, great, great. And I should mention on assault battles, I did not put the Peridia Pals on here. There is an assault battle with the Peridia Pals, but they're going to be single shard farmable for most of 2025, and they're in regular energy nodes. And I just don't feel comfortable telling free-to-play players to farm them until they're double shard farmable for you. So that's why I don't have the Peridia Pals out there. We'll see how the year goes because they're making all these goofy changes with assault battles. So, But your first path, Jedi Knight Luke, opens up an entire world for you. In addition to making, like I mentioned a moment ago, the Ground War Assault Battle, he will take that to Challenge Tier 3 for you and just ace it. I got a video out there, go watch it. But Jabba is the way to go first if you can. A note on this farming path, the Shadows of the Empire Lightspeed Bundle. I know it's a free-to-play farming guide, but the Shadows of the Empire bundle and the Hoth bundle are the two bundles that really fuel this. They really just drive you straight to Jedi Knight Luke and the rest of this farming path. There's also a Finalizer bundle that doesn't seem like it would work, but it'll get you halfway to Executor as well. So keep those in mind as we move forward if you're grabbing Lightspeed bundles as well. Coming up next, the General Skywalker path. I believe with all my heart and soul. You guys know that I have a free-to-play account farming Lord Vader. You guys voted on it. That's what you wanted. It's not what I wanted, but we're having some fun, trying out some different things in that account. We got to try out different things to keep the energy going in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. But Lord Vader, Ahsoka, that's a different picture. That's not going to be her final picture, but she's not out yet. There's no Ahsoka Galactic Legend picture out as of the recording of this video, so that's what you get, is just a picture of Ahsoka from the show. And Jedi Master Kenobi. These are all the Galactic Legends that overlap with your General Skywalker farming. General Skywalker with the 501st clones, that's the way to go. Then you get to do all this stuff. However, you see those secondary characters down there in each one of these guys? We got Commander Ahsoka with Jedi Master Kenobi. We got Ezra, Exile with Ahsoka. And we've got Maul with Lord Vader. The thing about these three Galactic Legends, not only are they some of the most expensive Galactic Legends in the game, not only that, although gas takes care of some of that, not only are they the most expensive Galactic Legends in the game as far as Kyrtex and gear and farming and everything else, they also need these Proving Grounds characters that are going to be only available to you in Proving Grounds, and Ezra Exile won't be there until like September. They need these characters to function at their maximum capability. Without those characters added to Jedi Master Kenobi, Ahsoka, and Lord Vader, we're assuming Ahsoka, I guess, but they've made Ezra a lifter for Ahsoka, so she's gonna need him. Without those characters, these three Galactic Legends are gonna function at less than optimal speed. For example, if you have a Jedi Master Kenobi out there without Commander Ahsoka on the team, I can beat it with my gas team. My gas 501st. Just be aware of that. That's why I put these as end game. Once you've got the Proving Grounds unlocked, you've been playing them for a while, maybe refreshing them if you're paying a little bit of money, you'll be able to unlock these Proving Grounds characters that will go along with these three Galactic Legends that will make them work at their utmost capability in the game. So that's why I've got them as a later farming path. The Jedi Knight Luke path comes first. The General Skywalker path comes second. It's the opposite of the way genetics work. See what I'm doing? All right. Coming up next, other journeys. Let's cover the rest of the journeys here for you. On this one, we take the other three Galactic Legends we haven't covered before: Sith Eternal, Supreme Leader Kylo, and Rey. The thing about Sith Eternal, as our first farming mentioned, you're going to find that you have farmed yourself halfway to Sith Eternal without ever even really trying to farm Sith Eternal. One day you'll look up and you'll see your roster and you go, huh, I could finish Sith Eternal free to play in a month or two, and I've never really tried to get them. A couple notes there. Make sure you've got Wat Tambor on your roster. That's why I want to do Geo territory battles with the Geos. See, those Geos at the beginning set us up for success later. You need Wat Tambor. I didn't put him on there as a lifter for Sith Eternal, but he is the Sith Eternal lifter, okay? That's what he is. He's the Sith Eternal lifter. So you need Wat Tambor with Sith Eternal to make him really work perfectly in a roster. He's a very cheap and very easy Galactic Legend to farm. He requires less Kyrtex than other Galactic Legends. Sith Eternal there. If you look at your roster, you haven't thought about it, you probably got a bunch of stuff for him farmed already. Rey and Kylo. They're kind of in a unique situation. These two were the first two Galactic Legends, and their farms are very isolated. Aside from Kylo having bounty hunter ships required to get the Finalizer, makes sense, right? Aside from having bounty hunter ships required to get the Finalizer, which I mentioned, the Finalizer bundle gets you halfway to Executor, right? There's really not a lot of overlap in these two farms with any other farms, because all the characters are First Order or Resistance. Now, there is Jedi Training Rey on the Rey farm, and she goes for Jedi Master Luke. But other than that, you don't have a lot of overlap going on with these two Galactic Legends. They're farmed independently, and if you're buying Lightspeed bundles, I know you're free to play. It's okay. But if you're buying Lightspeed bundles, these Lightspeed bundles I'm going to assume are going to be in regular rotation to get characters and ships farmed for both Supreme Leader Kylo and Galactic Legend Rey. But they fall at the end because there's not a lot of overlap. You can farm them early. If you're going to farm one of them early on, I'm going to suggest Supreme Leader Kylo because he just is relevant all the way to the end game. He can do so much in the game. Down here, 4 other journeys that I think are the 4 other most important journeys. Leviathan is our first one, and that capital ship requires Darth Malgus's Fury-class Interceptor. It requires Darth Revan at Relic 9. It requires Darth Malak at Relic 9, along with a bunch of other Sith ships and Sith characters. The reason I think Leviathan is the most important other journey farm is we haven't had another capital ship in a while. It is the meta right now. It's very possible that 6 to 9 months from now we'll have another capital ship in the game, and the Leviathan will fall off or have a compatriot there at the top of the game. But the Leviathan stands alone right now as I'm making this video. You've got the sooner you get on the roster, the better off you're going to be in Fleet Arena. Next comes Starkiller. Farming the Starkiller team, it's only 4 characters. They do need a lot of Chirotechs, but you're going to end up with a great team in Grand Arena that can kill Galactic Legends. You kill Rey easily, and Jedi Master Luke is somebody you can counter as well. You can counter a lot of Galactic Legends and kill most other teams. It is like a A- or A tier team, the Starkiller team, in Grand Arena in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Next, I've got Grand Inquisitor over there, primarily for a couple of reasons. One is you can activate the Scythe and get the Scythe into your Chimera fleet as fast as you possibly can. Scythe is improving grounds as well. The other one is because Grand Inquisitor, once you've got your Wat Tambor activated at 330 shards, your guild's going to move over and start doing Rise of the Empire territory battles. And in Rise of the Empire territory battles, you're going to unlock Reva. And the only way to unlock Reva, you guessed it, Grand Inquisitor with other Inquisitors. There's also an Assault battle out there for Inquisitors. I did not include it on the Assault battle list because they have canceled that Assault battle 3 months in 2024. I can only imagine that's going to continue in 2025. They're really expensive. They cost a lot of Chirotechs, that team does, and a lot of Zetas. So I'm pushing them out of the Assault battle farming. I just don't believe they're going to be a big part of that. But to get Reva, who is, again, a Starkiller A+ type end of game. She's better than Starkiller, by the way, straight up. She kills Galactic Legends. She does a lot of great things in Galaxy of Heroes. So Grand Inquisitor leads to Reva. And I've got Jedi Knight Cal Kestis over there because he's pretty easy to activate. Yeah, you can have all Gear 12 characters that are needed for him. You got Tarfals, you've got Saw Gerrera, you've got Marin, you've got Baby Cal Kestis, and you've got what's her name, Seer Junda. And Gear 12, you get those guys. Unlock Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. He is an unofficial Jedi Master Luke lifter. He makes Jedi Master Luke about 10% better. He doesn't really, there's no call outs to him in the kit specifically, but he is a lifter for Jedi Master Luke, and that's why Jedi Knight Cal Kestis is one of our most important, or 4th most important outside the Galactic Legend journeys that you can accomplish in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Other journeys you can look at in the game, Bo-Katan does a lot of great things. She can beat up Jabba in the game. She's really good. Just her farm doesn't lead a lot of other places. The same can be said for Baylan Skoll right now with his Datacron in game. He's doing great things in Grand Arena. We don't really know how he's going to fall out and impact things once that Datacron goes away. But he's geared for Grand Arena. He's set up to beat Jedi Master Kenobi in Grand Arena. The Gungans with Jar Jar. It's a lot of fun. It's not as good as it was when he had his specific Datacrons out, but it's still a really great team out there and requires your opponent to step up and use a really good team to kill it on defense. Dr. Aphra, I've got as your least important journey outside of all the journeys that have been either mentioned passively or aggressively so far. That's not the right word, but Dr. Aphra, there's no overlap. Her team can do some things in the right situation, but you've got to know how to put it together. And let's go again. I forgot to include one character. You guys might know who's coming. Darth Bane. If you can find a way to get Darth Bane on your roster, Darth Bane and one other Sith, if you have an extra Sith on your team, put him on there. He kills Galactic Legends. He's an offensive force. He's a ridiculous character in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes in Grand Arena. Darth Bane making things happen for you. Don't apply the 3rd Omicron like I did because you don't need him. With this is a Sith Eternal Omicron. I regret that spend, but I made it. So Darth Bane deserves a mention here with these other journeys in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And there you go. That is our free-to-play farming guide for 2025. All the beginners, the executor, the assault battles, the GAC lifters, the characters I left out like the Treya team and Darth Bane, everything you need to know to farm Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. There are other teams even that didn't get mentioned here, like Iden Versio, like your Mandalorians with your Imperial Super Commando and Gar Saxon. Lots of good stuff out there. I'm sure there are teams I missed. I'm not trying to cover every single team, just trying to give you a good guide for how to build your roster and the directions you need to go while playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes in 2025. That will wrap us up for today. I hope everybody had a lot of fun watching this video. Maybe learned something. Maybe you could teach me something. I don't know. Down in the comments, let me know because I love to hear from you guys. You, the community, are what this channel is all about. I appreciate all of you. Thanks to all my members for all the support you've given me throughout the years and even here locally. The members at your membership levels, you keep this channel moving and grooving at the levels we need to go at. This is our best graphics I've ever put out. Look at those graphics roll behind me, baby! Everybody, have a great day. I will talk to you soon. And of course, always remember, Nooch2Good.